All right, so I'm here at the homeless Washington Square Park, the homeless hangout. I found a guy who has a very interesting story that I've heard about 800 times that y'all need to hear and understand. So I'll let him introduce himself, and we'll go from there. You're on, buddy.
My name is Andrew.
Andrew, okay.
Basically, my story is I was in drug court for a charge that I didn't commit. I ended up violating drug court because I lost my job. They DSS turned my case off, and when I got clean, I got myself clean and sober. I've been clean and sober for 3.5 years now, but I lost my house, lost my wife, lost my kid, and now I'm just trying to find myself again. Don't know what to do.
So
On the street.
Okay, so I started getting sober last April of 2017. It was the day after Easter. I went into inpatient, and then I ended up, some shit went down. They were assholes at Park Ridge, blah blah blah. I ended up having to go on the run for a little bit. I ended up going to Norris. It all worked out in the end, right? But so, like, people don't understand, like, this is how it starts. You try to, let me do this, so I can see. You try to put your life together, right? You get involved in some drugs, right? Yeah, because you know what? Sometimes life isn't cool. You know, you need an escape, right?
You need to get away from reality.
You need to get away from reality because sometimes reality sucks.
You need to turn life into a cartoon every
right?
once in a while.
So you do some drugs, right? You think you're having fun at the beginning, right? You know, it's a weekend thing with your friends on Thursday, maybe Friday night. That's how, you know. And then next thing you know, it's an everyday, all day kind of thing, and you fucked. You in a situation, and you're not even having fun at this point. It's a full-time job trying to get high, right? I mean, this is what people don't understand. They think we're out, like, you're out here having fun trying to get high. They don't understand it's a job.
Yeah.
It is a full-time job, and you're putting in overtime for this money because you got to come up with this money. You got to come up with it out of thin fucking air. Yeah. So now you got 3.5 years clean, and you got nothing, right? So people wonder why these people go back, right? Because you ain't got shit.
You got nothing to lose.
You got nothing to lose, right? And when you got nothing to lose, who the fuck cares?
I've been clean 3.5 years. I haven't had a drink in almost 4 years, and I got violated on drug court for something that wasn't even a drug charge.
What was the violation?
The violation was my wife took off with my son.
Okay.
And I wasn't able to make it to a couple of my classes, my group classes, because
okay.
I was
going through
depression. And I called my group counselor and I told her that I said I'm not using. I said I'm just really in a bad place right now mentally, and I can't be around group settings. I can't be with people. I said I'll do my one-on-ones with you, but I can't be in a group because I mentally can't handle it.
Okay.
And I went in front of the judge 2 weeks later, and he threw me in behind bars and said that you're going to inpatient. I've been clean for so long. I wasn't even eligible for inpatient.
Because you're not even dirty. You don't have any drugs in your
I went
system.
into inpatient completely clean. And they have had no drugs in my system whatsoever. And then when I got out, DSS turned my case off. I had my own place.
Yeah.
Right before, even when my wife split up with me and my son went with her, I ended up going into a shelter, but I got out of the shelter within a week.
Because those shelters suck, people. We don't go to shelters for a reason, all right? Your shit gets stolen, you get robbed, you get beat up, all sorts of shit happens. You got a curfews at 6 p.m. I don't understand that. It's nonsense, okay? Anyway, sorry.
And,
we got to explain it to these people because they're like, why don't you just go to a shelter?
Well, I went to the shelter in order to get a roof over my head, in order to get the help from the people that work at the shelter. You know, I did basically everything on my own. I was in my own place within 2 weeks, and then after I got in my own house, 2 weeks after that is when the judge incarcerated me. 3 days after I got incarcerated,
DSS turned everything off.
Shut my case off. The landlord rented my room out and everything. So as I leave Conifer Park,
you leave to nothing.
Nothing. I literally.
You went into Conifer Park with an apartment. An open social services case, so you got food, you got insurance, you got everything you need. You go to Conifer Park for rehabilitation, right? Chemical dependency rehabilitation. Put your life back together, and you leave with nothing.
I literally left. I had the shirt on my back. I had shoes that were falling off my feet because they were broken. Because I wore them when I was in jail and in Conifer Park.
And you just wore them out because you can't
pants,
afford new shoes.
I had a shirt. And
you literally had the clothes on your back, and that was it.
Yeah, and I still own just the clothes on my back. I I try washing my clothes, but even at the shelter, I'm staying at a shelter right now because I don't have a tent. I can't afford a tent. So I have to be somewhere in order to be able to have a restroom that I could use or have water that I could drink.
Yeah.
And
so like if I had a stockpile of tents and I could give you a tent right now,
I would never go back to a shelter.
I'm just saying, you would never go.
Ever go back to a
this
shelter.
is why I need. This is why I need to do this. Because I could get, if I had a tent right now, I could give it to this man and improve his life right now. It's for $20 tent.
There's so many people out there that, you know, when I was younger, you know, I was, 20 years old, I was overseas, and I would come back home and I'd see, people that were homeless on the street, and I'd look at them, and, I'll be the first person to admit, I looked at them and I would be like, oh.
Right.
I never thought that I'd be like that.
And then that's how everyone looks at us, right? Because they don't get it. They think you lazy and you don't want to work or something.
It's the trickle down effect. I worked for I don't know 5 years for the same overhead garage door company. I started running it, and then I enlisted in the military, and I was in the military for 8 years. Come home, I was still working. I've always worked. I've always had a job on the books, and then when my wife and of 10 years and my 7-year-old son, I woke up one morning,
they were gone.
And they were gone. And I couldn't go to work. If I was up on a fucking, 4-story roof,
you ain't gonna be thinking about the roof.
I'm walking off the roof. I'm jumping off that shit. I was at a place in my life where I wasn't good and I needed help. So I went and I seeked out the help that I needed in order to get my mental state better. And that just completely ruined everything else. My house, my clothes. I don't even have, my son got me a blanket for Father's Day 2 years ago, and that was the only thing that I ever had, a present for him, that he saved up his allowance for 6 months in order to get me, and I don't even have that anymore. So, shit is shitty.
And you know what's, I can tell 100 of these stories, right?
Yeah.
This is as fucked up as this story is, right? I can tell my version of the same basic story. I can go over to a table over there and get 3 more versions of basically the same story. You people need to understand why this is going on.
It's because the government is so quick to shut you down when you're trying to get the help that you need.
It's not
there's no wonder why people don't want to go into rehabs and get themselves better. People don't want to go to rehab to get themselves better because they have a life out here, no matter how shitty it is.
It might be a shitty life, but at least I have a life, right? I have people, I have friends, right? I have the support network. It might be a fucked up support network, but it's a support network.
The fucked up thing is, I am drug free. I used to do coke. I used to drink a lot of alcohol, but I have been clean for a long time. I'm starting to get my life, I started getting my life better, to back on track the way I wanted it to be, and now I'm in a worse position than I was when I was using coke and when I was drinking alcohol. At least when I had coke and alcohol.
That's why people throw the towel in and just go back to it.
Because at least when I had the coke and the alcohol, at least I had something to look forward to. Now I wake up in the morning and have nothing to look forward to. At least I was chasing a high. Now I'm just chasing to survive. It's not even about chasing a high.
But here's the thing, right? You're clean and you know you're clean,
yeah.
right? You know what's funny? I went on the run after the Park Ridge thing because I was like, fuck you, this is not my fault. If I'm going to jail, y'all working for it, right? You're gonna work for this. You're working for my arrest because this was not my fault. I didn't use the whole time. The 6 weeks I was on the run, I didn't use. Why? So I could go in front of that judge and be like, no, man, I'm clean. I might have been on the run. They might have kicked me out. I might have had to walk out for some nonsense that was their fault. But you know what? I didn't use drugs the whole time I was on the run.
And it's like, I didn't use drugs because I like getting high. I use drugs because I like forgetting about all the fucking pain and shit that gets caused.
People think like you enjoy it's all feelings, right? It's all we're all looking for a chemical situation that we like.
I want to see the person that talks shit about the person who's using drugs, who's using cocaine or using heroin or using meth or whatever it is. I want to find the person who takes no antidepressants, no anxiety medicine, no heart medication, no nothing. If that person takes absolutely no poisons whatsoever, then they could say something about my drug use or about
yeah, but you can't. That means you can't be smoking cigarettes. If you drink caffeine, you can't talk shit about my drug habit.
No coffee, no cigarettes, no
energy drinks,
no
nothing.
Meat, because meat releases dopamine into your freaking brain.
Right.
So you know what? I want you to be a vegan, vegetarian.
It's all about the chemicals. Like people don't understand. They think it's the drug. No, it's not the drug. It's the chemical reaction. That's why, okay, my drug. Everybody's drug of choice is different because they're looking for a different chemical reaction in their brain, right? And it's all about feelings. Because I'm gonna tell you something, people. It's not. You don't start doing drugs like that, right? Because life was good, right?
No.
I didn't wake up one day and go, hey, you know what seems like a really good idea? I'm going to start sticking a needle in my arm 30 fucking times a day.
Yeah, I'm making $70,000 a year, and I'm just bored now. Let me go smoke a crack pipe.
Right? Let me just ruin my life because everything's so great. Let me just tank it, right? That's not how it works, folks. There's always within a chemical dependency issue, there's a childhood trauma issue. That's childhood trauma.
Yeah, I don't have one of those. I had a pretty good childhood growing up.
So then why the fuck you doing cocaine?
Oh, I started doing cocaine. I was addicted to epinephrine when I was overseas.
Okay.
They were giving me epinephrine pens in order to stay awake for missions. And when I came home, there was nothing I could do. I was sick. I was extremely sick. And I was starting to have flashbacks. I became violent, and I needed to get my brain in the same state that my body was in. My body was still I still felt like I was overseas, and I needed my brain to be at the same pace. And the only thing I could find that would do it would be coke. I didn't do meth or nothing like that to speed myself up, to keep myself going. But I was also a man. I'm working 70 hours a week at the same job to provide a roof over my head and, food on the table for my wife and kid. And then I'd go from one job to coming home to taking care of the house, taking care of the wife, taking care of the kid, in order to go get 3 hours sleep and do the same thing the next day. I never let my drug use take over my life. The only time that drugs ever affected my life is when I decided to quit. And I decided to quit for good reason. I decided to quit drugs because it was at the point in my life where I needed to be in control of everything. I couldn't, it's a good thing to be able to let go of control every once in a while and give the reins over to the next person.
Yeah.
But I was at a point in my life where I was like, okay, I need to be sober right now in order to, see what I could do differently. And I got myself to a point that I wanted to be at. And then I was good, clean, everything was going great, and then everything gets taken away from you all over again. So it's a repetitive circle of vicious.
Yeah, it's a repetitive circle because I studied outside for 8 years, and people are always like, why? Because I don't care, right? Fuck it. This is if I always end up in this situation, why not get comfortable in this situation and figure out how to make it work the best way it can?
Yeah.
So for 8 years, I figured it out. Right? So now I got to help all the other people out here because, the only reason I ever went inside, and I always said the only reason I'll ever go inside is if my girlfriend buys a house and she lets me come in. We've been together 13 years in September.
Wow.
We've known each other since we were 14. All right? So, you know what I'm saying? That's the only reason I went inside. But I got to help my family now, right? Because I got brothers and sisters that are still out here that people don't understand, that people look down on, that people talk junk to, that people just are rude people to.
Some people
because they don't understand. It's a lifestyle choice.
It is. Some people choose to be in the situation because they like the freedom. They don't want to have...
Okay, so do you know how crazy it is that it drives me insane? I lived outside for 8 years. Okay, it's what time? It's like 10 o'clock, right? I woke up this morning like I do every morning at 4:30. I got my dog up, took him outside, started making the coffee. I have physical therapy today in the Monday mornings, so I didn't go to the gym. We usually go to the gym at 5 a.m. to 7. I come home, I start watering. I take care of my neighbor's homebound, so I help her with her yard work, all sorts of shit. So I water her lawn, 45 minutes. I water my lawn. And I come inside, I drink some coffee. I don't know, this shit is insane to me though. And it's like I got to send out these emails, right? I got to make these phone calls. I got to do this, I got to do that. I got to do responsibilities. And it's insane. Like what time is it?
10:25.
It's 10:25 and I've already packed in a full day of my life. I've been to physical therapy, I took care of the dog, I made coffee for me and the girlfriend, you know what I'm saying? I got her to work, I got the dog situated, fed, taken outside, I got my neighbor's yard taken care of, I got my yard taken care of.
I get more done by 10 o'clock than the average person does.
That's what I'm saying.
Day.
From 4 a.m. to like noon, I am so fucking productive. But from noon to whenever I go to sleep, nothing gets done.
People are always saying, you do absolutely nothing with your life. It's like, dude, I
operate my life when you're still sleeping.
I've been done for the last 3 hours. This is my 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I was done before you woke up, right?
Go ahead. I wanted to ask you some things about Elliot.